This is Center Stage, putting your firm in the spotlight by highlighting business owners and other industry experts to help take your firm to the next level. Hey everyone, and welcome to Center Stage. I'm your host, John Henson, and this week we are talking about LinkedIn once again. We first talked about it back, I think, in episode number 42 with Frank Ramos, but I wanted to dedicate another episode to this. Also, I think it's been almost a full year since that episode came out, so it's good to revisit it and have some more angles on it. Really, because I mean, LinkedIn has continued over the past year to grow, and it's seen this weird resurgence, and I have no idea why, but maybe we can find out this week with our guest, who she's a LinkedIn coach. She's just an overall profile guru, founder of Cowgirl Creative Marketing, and that is Angela Dunz. Thanks for joining us.
I'm so glad to be here, John.
Thanks. So yeah, I mean, I kind of teased it a little bit, but tell everyone about yourself. What exactly do you do with LinkedIn?
I am a business development specialist on the LinkedIn platform. Now, a lot of people have absolutely no idea what that means, so I'll try to explain it a little bit. If people are really serious about using LinkedIn as a marketing tool, a relationship tool, a business development tool, how do you do that? And where does it all start? And for me, it starts with a little bit of branding. And one of the biggest mistakes that people make on LinkedIn is they think that LinkedIn is all about themselves. You know, that old adage that it's an online resume, that's old. You
Yeah.
really want it to be about your entry level ideal client. That's one of the biggest mistakes people make. So I start there, making the profile client focused. From there, I work on optimization. And optimization these days is absolutely everything. LinkedIn is a internet inside the internet.
Yeah.
It has its own algorithms and search functions and preferences. So if your profile is not correctly optimized, you're going to come up in the wrong searches for the wrong opportunities. And we all know that's not good business.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's all about business development strategies or tactics and visibility. How are you going to stay top of mind? And only one of my 5 strategies includes content. So there are lots of other strategies that you can use to stay top of mind in the newsfeed.
Awesome. So yeah, so I mean, kind of just starting broadly, I mean, why is LinkedIn so important right now?
You know, it's very interesting. I have a couple statistics to share that I think are quite interesting. Since the pandemic hit, it's like everybody is late for the party and grossly underdressed, and they want to get up to speed yesterday,
Mhm.
last year, because they realize that there's a lot of opportunity on LinkedIn. And this digital world that we're in is not going to go away.
Yeah.
There have been a lot of networking platforms that have tried to usurp
Yeah.
LinkedIn, but they have all fell by the wayside. And with 820 million, until there's some sort of technology revolution, LinkedIn is what we have to work with.
Right.
And right at the beginning of the pandemic, everything changed. People started sharing more personally and more vulnerably. And it has become, a lot of people say it's too much like Facebook, but also we are not presenting this facade, this business facade. Oh my gosh, I'm on LinkedIn. I need to be this professional thing. And then you're not yourself, and then LinkedIn doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah. I've noticed, it's weird. It's all, people almost have, eh, you have like your real self, and then you have like the social media self that you want to portray. But then on
It doesn't
LinkedIn,
work.
it's almost like a second layer on LinkedIn where it's like people
Yeah.
have their like a weird mix of like their personal self and their professional self that they're trying to also portray on LinkedIn.
And that's super interesting.
Yeah.
Since the pandemic hit, here's a couple of interesting statistics. The activity in the news feed has increased by almost 80%. The number of people joining LinkedIn per minute has gone from 2 to 3 people per minute.
Wow.
They can't even keep up with what their numbers are.
Yeah.
If you're not on LinkedIn, you're not legit as a business person. And especially for independent contractors, that's so true because people start their search to find out your credibility using LinkedIn. Then they go to your website.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, baby boomers represented 30 to 40% of the activity on LinkedIn pre pandemic. Now it's only 10.
Wow.
So lots has changed.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit later on just about, what your profile should look like, but I mean, I've even noticed in myself just when I'm, searching for people, I will notice, you know, it, profiles that are more filled out, picture, an actual job title and all of that, I'm going to gravitate towards more. If I'm searching for someone and I come across their name and there's like no profile image, it's just a blank profile. It looks like they got into LinkedIn 4 or 5 years ago and then just haven't touched it since. I'm going to stop at that point. And maybe there's an opportunity that was missed there. But for now, let's talk about um, kind of, what someone could expect to get out of LinkedIn. We work with lawyers, financial pros. I think when we're talking about social media in general, a lot of times marketers look at social media and try to find ways to generate leads and generate business from LinkedIn. I think especially for our audience, is of the other social media platforms might be the best place to nurture referrals, create new connections and stuff like that. But I mean, from your point of view, I mean, what could a lawyer or a financial pro reasonably expect to achieve on LinkedIn?
Well, it's interesting because a lot of that has changed as well.
Mhm.
So, lawyers are late adopters, so are
Yep.
financial planners, and with good reason,
Yeah.
because they have legal and compliance issues to worry about. Now, a
Yeah.
lot of that changed January 1st. The SEC changed a lot of the restrictions on financial professionals. Securities is still pretty tight. Um, but for other people, they can actually get recommendations now. They
Mm.
haven't been able to get those in the past. So what I work for several different large multinational attorneys
Yeah.
firms, and so I advise them within this whole compliance and legal. But really, if you're trying to become partner, you need
Mhm.
to be doing some business development on LinkedIn. And
Yeah.
it really is pretty simple once you understand some of the basics. So a lot of people think that if they're with a big multinational firm, that they don't have to worry about branding, that the company can carry them. But there's this interesting sweet spot, this intersection between personal branding and company branding where the power is.
Mm.
That's where the real magic happens. So, having a strong personal brand and having a big brand to back you up for the firm, that's where real things start to happen. So,
Yeah.
I try to get them to shift their mindset about what LinkedIn can do.
Mhm.
LinkedIn for them is a way to grease their referral machine and a place to build relationships. It is not a direct sales platform. It's not a
Yep.
conversion tool.
Yep.
It is a driving traffic tool.
Yeah.
So I ask them to come up with a simple strategy. What is the action you want someone to take after they've looked at your profile?
Yep.
Do
Exactly.
you want them to go to a calendar link? Do you want them to read a blog? Do you want them to go to a website where you have another personal profile? What is it that you want them to do? What is going to move them closer to a purchasing decision or a referral partnership?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And and it's interesting because like, I will get these connection requests and I can see right off the bat that they just want me to book a call with them and pay them for something. And I mean, look, maybe for me, that's just not my style. I don't know what you advise against that,
Oh
but
my,
I feel
I
like,
advise against it.
yeah, I feel like, it's more about reaching out to people and saying, hey, I see that you do this. This is what I like this, you like this. Let's connect. Let's see how we can help each other more so than, hey, I see you have this. Here's a thing that I have that will help you with that. Pay me to
Yeah,
do it.
you're skipping about 7 steps
Mhm.
when
Right.
you do. I always
Yeah.
tell people, you go for the relationship first.
Yeah.
If you're going to send an invitation, make sure that it's legit. Is it relevant to that person? Do they have a reason to connect to you? It's not all about you. That's that's the biggest mistake people make on LinkedIn. Your profile is not about you.
Right.
Your
Yeah.
messaging is not about you.
Right.
It's
Exactly.
about
Yes.
what you can bring to the table
Yeah.
for someone else. So a
Hmm.
lot of people, I don't know, it's like they all of a sudden they turn into a barracuda
Yeah.
on LinkedIn. And it's really its best use is to build relationship, and you have to give someone a reason to connect with you. So you want to
Yeah.
slow down, killer,
Yeah.
and really start thinking, why would they want to connect with me? What can I offer them?
Yeah. Yeah. So we've talked about several don'ts already, like things not to do. Don't make it, a secondary Facebook account and post, all your personal deepest, darkest secrets and all of that. Don't be super aggressive with your sales pitches and all that. I mean, so what are some things that you recommend people do? What's quote unquote the right way to build your profile on LinkedIn?
Well, every time you go to a networking event, make sure you know how to use your QR code on your
Yeah.
phone so that you can immediately connect with a lot of people without having to collect all those business cards and then go home and sit down and you type in their name and there's 20 people that have the same name and you can't figure out which one it is.
Right.
If you use the QR code on your phone, there's no mistake. You don't even have to spell their name.
Yeah.
It's just
Where is the QR code? I didn't even realize that LinkedIn had that feature.
um, go to the LinkedIn app
Yep.
and open it up on the front page. Put your finger into the search bar on the top and then look over to the right. There'll be a little grid thing.
Wow.
Touch the grid,
Yeah.
and then you can either have them read yours or you can read theirs. Either way, there's two screens there. That
Yeah.
feature has been around for 4 or 5 years.
Wow. Yeah.
I
Had no
know
idea.
no one knows. No one knows that it's there, but it is the coolest party trick ever at a
Yeah.
networking event. And now that we're starting to do that, you can put that QR code on your business cards.
Hmm. Yeah.
There's no mistake. They can't, if your name is Barb Smith, they're going to get the right Barb Smith.
Yep. Yeah.
It's it's just such a great tool. So that's one of the do's. Now,
Yeah.
once they connect, then you sit down in your jammies at home and you say, thank you so much for connecting, John. Welcome to my network. Great seeing you at the blah, blah, blah event so that you have context 3 years from now
Yeah.
on how you know this person. Those are some big do's. Now, that welcome message has served me so well.
Hmm.
It's really awkward once you have this fabulous connection that you really wanted to get. Now what?
Hmm. Right.
Sending a welcome message breaks the ice, welcomes them into your network, and opens the door for further conversation.
Yep. Yep. I agree.
It's
Yeah.
just such a great trick.
Yeah, and even if I don't, obviously I just found out about the QR code, so like obviously I don't do that. But what I tend to do is if I'm reaching out to someone to make a connection, I'll just include that welcome message in the note because usually you can connect with someone, then LinkedIn will be like, "Hey, do you want to write a note to add to this connection
Always.
request?" Yeah, yeah,
Yes. Yeah,
yeah.
and give them a reason to connect. I've created a cold prospecting script that really starts putting people into the right mindset for
Mhm.
how it is to be of value to someone else, even if you haven't met them yet. And it's a great script for getting you thinking about the way you should show up on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Now, the two most popular ways for people to connect on LinkedIn is alma mater, number one.
Mm.
Big surprise.
Yeah.
Because of course you're going to help somebody from your alma mater, right?
Yeah.
Now, the number two way is sports.
Yeah.
I mentioned that I'm a Green Bay Packer fan in my profile and in the about section, and you have no idea how many times an initial conversation will start out about, oh my gosh, I hate Aaron Rodgers, or I'm a Bears fan, or
Right.
my team is the Steelers.
Yeah.
It's just so much more fun to start a conversation that way
Yeah.
than to try and come up with a stupid question about LinkedIn.
Yeah.
It's just so fun.
Yeah. No, yeah, and that's great. What about when it comes to, how do you find that balance? Because, you mentioned earlier, like, you don't really want your LinkedIn profile to be like a digital version of your resume. So how much, where's kind of the line between putting enough information about what it is that you do, but without making it look like a CV or a resume?
I have sort of a formula, a guideline for what you should do with your about section. And that first paragraph, first one or two paragraphs, really is all about your ideal entry level client. So ask them a series of qualifying questions. Pierce them through the heart with the questions that you answer. What keeps them up at night?
Hmm.
What is it that they really want to achieve? What is one of the problems that just doesn't go away for them that you have the solution to? Or paint a picture of what that promised land is like.
Yeah.
What are the results that they could achieve if they work with you? And then the second most powerful method is to create a story. Now, no names, no details. It's just, what was the challenge somebody came to you with? What is the solution that the two of you cooked up? And then what was that client able to do as a result of working with you?
Right.
They set up systems that made them 25% more efficient, and they saved a lot of money.
Right.
Those are the kinds of things that really speak.
Yeah.
So you want to make that first paragraph or two about your ideal client. Now, in the second or third paragraph, then you want to establish your credibility. I'm passionate about this. I have 15 years experience. I went into business to do this because I saw this need, whatever it is. Establish your credibility in after you've created interest, and then put in a bulleted list. I mean, we are the laziest readers in the world since the pandemic. We have decision fatigue. We want to get to the good stuff now.
Yeah.
So a bulleted list could be the types of businesses that you serve, or the types of problems that you solve, or the services that you offer, or the results that you bring.
Yeah. Yeah. And I,
And
and
then
I
put
love
in
that.
what and then put in one or two sentences of personalization, something super quirky.
Yeah.
I have an OD professional that I worked with, and he's a mindfulness OD for operations. Very interesting combination.
Yeah.
And in his personalization, he says, when I'm not solving problems for operations and supply chain, I like to drive fast cars. And he
Right.
put a little icon of a red car in there. He has so many people get a hold of him just because of that. They think
Interesting.
it's interesting.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting. Yeah, and I mean, yeah, because you still need to find a way to stand out. There's going to be hundreds of thousands of people who do exactly what you do. So where can you
OD is
find?
very competitive. Mhm.
Yeah. So how can you just find like small ways to stand out, and just putting those personal little touches in there really goes a long way. And so to kind of transition, because we live in the content space, we do content marketing. And so one of the things that LinkedIn has continued, or at least as far as I know for now, they may change it in the future, is unlike Facebook and maybe even Instagram with their algorithms, LinkedIn will show everyone your content, assuming that they see it on their timeline as they're scrolling through. They don't put restrictions on it. Facebook will restrict, at least on a business page level, they'll restrict the organic
Yeah.
reach of content. LinkedIn, and Twitter, they still don't do that. You did talk for a second about LinkedIn's algorithms. What exactly is LinkedIn's algorithm, if you could speak into that for a second before we jump in deeper into content?
Well, that's a slippery animal. They're cha they're changing that all the time.
Oh, yeah,
Uh,
they all of them
but
do.
but organic reach still is the most powerful way for people to reach their target audience. So you really want to think about, how are you putting together that post?
Mhm,
Are you naming your audience? Are you using statistics? Because numbers are super sticky in the algorithms on LinkedIn.
mhm,
Are they are actually suppressing posts that are baiting people to engage. So if you say something like, what do you think? Share in the comments below. Those are not getting as much traffic.
mm,
People have complained that they don't want to be baited like that. And so LinkedIn responds to what they hear from their members and those types of things. So try not to bait. Make your call to action something different,
yeah,
or not comment below.
right.
Now, uh, if a post receives some, let's say an influencer likes or comments on your post, wow, okay, you just got a 10x boost in traffic.
Mhm,
So a lot of people will tell you that that first hour is critical. I
yeah,
have not found that to be true. I mean,
right.
yes, it does work that way, but that is not the do all end all. I just had a post from 2 weeks ago go viral.
Right. Yeah, I've seen that because, the first hour rule definitely, and we've seen this here internally, it really applies to, like, TikTok and Instagram, but what I've seen and what I've heard on LinkedIn is that that necessarily isn't the case, but how you respond, like, how you get comments and then how you then respond to those comments can drive that. But it's also, like, I even heard something, and tell me if this is true or not. I heard something the other day that basically said, like, if you can wait 24 hours or a couple of days to respond to a comment, it actually helps that post go further, which to me goes against everything that I've ever been taught about social media.
Drip commenting
Mhm.
works.
That's
It
crazy.
absolutely does. So I will wait a couple of hours. If I've got 10 comments on a post, I had
Mhm.
one the other day that just went completely crazy. And it's never the ones that you think should.
Right.
And so I would wait 2 hours in between responding to each of those people who made comments on my post. And that gave it legs for about a week.
Yeah.
And it's still out there and being recycled around as more people chime in. The size of the network of the person that chimes in and the relevancy and keywords of their comments definitely make a difference.
Yeah.
And the relevancy is really important. Now, likes are super cheap. Likes don't recycle content very well at all.
Mhm.
A comment or a share, now that's where you really get the algorithms to, if someone else shares original content of yours, that's kind of the magic sweet spot.
Yeah.
That's what LinkedIn is all about. It's giver's gain. So it's someone that thought your content was valuable enough. Now they're changing the algorithms all over again. They're really going to be punishing generic content.
Mm.
It really has to be relevant and valuable. And I think they're going to judge some of that on the engagement.
So then, our lawyers, they deal in a lot of very sensitive content.
Yes.
It's very serious, bankruptcies, divorces, all that kind of stuff that, at least in my opinion, people might be really hesitant to openly engage with.
Yes.
How do you then, sort of demonstrate value on LinkedIn for someone who deals in that kind of serious subject matter?
I think one of the most effective ways for attorneys to address that is to create a amplification pod between attorneys in different practice areas. So a divorce attorney and a family law attorney and someone who does business contracts, people who are somewhat similar,
Mhm.
or at least understand each other's practice areas really well. Now
Yeah.
they can make relevant comments on that. And that is what can give a post juice.
Yeah.
Or you get someone like a family therapist who says, wow, that was really great. What I've seen in my practice is,
Yeah.
so putting together an amplification pod of people that are no compete, but in similar space.
Yeah. And that's really brilliant because I think a lot of times when we're in the social media world, we think that we're just trying to reach our our buying audience, not necessarily our referring audience. And I think on LinkedIn, you have a really good opportunity there to build that community and kind of get that validation that hey, this content is legitimate. It's great advice because you have these people contributing to that discussion, but it's not, it's, your buying audience could still see it on LinkedIn if you're connected with them or even just, passing by, but it'll keep furthering that thing. It'll keep building your own expertise. And so that is a really good point that I think a lot of people end up missing.
Well, and how impressed would a potential client be if they saw other professionals chiming in on your post?
Yeah.
I mean, that is a credibility booster. Now, another thing that we have to discuss is consistency,
Yeah.
because on LinkedIn, it's absolutely about consistency. Now, I've been really bad over the summer. I've been building my digital empire, and so I've been very spotty about posting on LinkedIn. And for the last 2 weeks, I've been posting every single day. In the first week of doing that, my engagement went up 250%.
Funny how that works.
LinkedIn rewards consistency.
Oh yeah.
So even if you're only posting twice a week or 3 times a week, it does not have to be every day. Make it consistent so that you're taking advantage of those algorithms.
Yes, absolutely. So kind of the final base to cover here is just the actual kind of content that people should be posting. What do you recommend?
Um, I recommend a mix. Even if you're only posting 2 or 3 times a week, make only one of those posts about what you do. And I would recommend a third party article like Harvard Business Review or something that is a trade journal in your space. The peripheral content gets a lot more viewership. If you're straight on talking about what it is that you do, mm, now the quality of engagement on the straight on what you do posts
Mhm.
is higher. Those are actually people who are prospects. And then I really recommend post things that are inspirational or motivational. My post that went out of control 2 weeks ago was about to do lists. I have just a really crappy relationship with to do lists. And I talked about that, and people chimed in and offered all kinds of stuff and shared their experiences. It was really rich. I got about 10 new um, connections through that post of people who are actually interested in my content. So I've definitely reached back to everyone and said, hey, thank you for your engagement on my post about to dos. Love to have you in my network. Let's connect
Yeah.
or connect if you're interested, whatever, however soft you want to make that ask.
Yeah.
And it's just, now I'm already in conversation with some of those people, and I have an appointment with one of them, a coffee chat. So it's super fun to post things that are peripheral and just find out what people are interested in.
Yeah.
But the motivational stuff goes a long way too.
Yeah.
What is a quote that has something to do with your space? Being proactive, for an attorney and really educating yourself is something that's important for their clients.
Yeah.
There's so many, having a little bit of grit and resilience. Those are posts that go really far because we all need that kind of uplifting right now. It creates a business community around you. So the goal is not necessarily to sell something, but to inspire and motivate and educate,
Yeah.
inform people.
Hmm. Yeah.
If you're a divorce attorney, you know, inform people about mediation and some of the new ways of collaborative law so that everyone is looking for positive solutions for everyone involved. Not everyone knows about that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. A couple of points to that, before we wrap up here. I mean, we talk about, um, just providing value. One thing I see a lot of, a big mistake that a lot of make is just every post has the phone number and call us, call us, call us, call us, call us. And it's just like, I'm going to either unfollow you or mute you or whatever, because you're not providing any kind of value. But to that point, having other kinds of, information and resource available. I mean, to the example you made about the divorce lawyer, on top of, different kinds of things going on, in the family law space, man, provide some articles and information on life after divorce, you know, some sort of like, self-help sort of thing where it's like, tips for rediscovering your passions after a divorce, or, some psychological information, because a lot of people
Or
are going to be
support
really
your
down and depressed.
kids
Yeah.
after
Yeah,
support.
exactly. Yeah, there's so many different things that you can add to your content. Sorry if you can hear the ambulance outside the window, but no, there's so many different things that you can add to your content that, tangentially is still related, and it still shows
Yes.
all of the value that you can bring even outside of just what you actually get paid to do.
And it's more positive.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. How can people get in touch with you? I mean, we've really only scratched the surface here of just how deep you can go with your LinkedIn profile. How can people reach out to you and get some help boosting and really getting their profile on a high level?
Connect with me on LinkedIn. That's the most perfect way. There is a new feature on LinkedIn called the clickable link.
Mm.
And it is a feature that is just below where your headline and your profile photo and banner are on LinkedIn. I have a scheduled link for a coffee chat right there. So whether you're connected with me on LinkedIn or not, you can use that clickable link and spend some quality time with me.
Awesome. Love it. Yeah. I mean, I've even learned a whole lot from you just in this conversation. I'm probably gonna, as soon as we get off here, I'm gonna go onto my LinkedIn profile and start making a couple of tweaks along the way. But yeah,
Awesome.
this has been really fantastic. I really do appreciate all of the insight that you've brought. I do have one final question for you. Try to ask it to all of our guests here, and that is, if you had one final piece of advice for our listeners, what would it be?
Oh, that's an easy one. Everybody talks about being authentic and being yourself. And I really recommend that on LinkedIn. Really spend some time to figure out who are you at your core as a business person and a human being, and share from that space. Your people will resonate with that. They'll find you. You'll just be more successful.
Yeah, love it. Yeah, I think yeah, the authenticity aspect of it is really really important. Couldn't agree more. Well, that's going to do it. I think. I mean, we could talk for 4 more hours on LinkedIn, but I think if you want to learn more and you want to really improve your profile, definitely reach out to Angela. Definitely connect with her on LinkedIn. Makes so much sense to just use the platform that we talked about to get in touch. So that's going to do it. Continue to rate and review us wherever you're consuming the show. Thank you for all of the feedback that you guys send in. Really do appreciate it. And yeah, that's it. Angela, thank you so much for joining us.
You're so welcome. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for listening. To learn more, go to spotlightbranding.com/center stage.